Good afternoon. Welcome to the Business Spotlight series. My name is Sanjiv Dodhia from Action Coach, and today I've got Sam Harrison of Sam's Riverside joining us. How are you doing, Sam?
Very good, Sanjiv. Nice to meet you. Nice to be here.
Fantastic. Thanks for taking the time to talk to us. So, Sam, we're keen to kind of find out about your journey as a business owner. So, do you want to kick us off by sharing how you got here, what got you here, what got you going in this business, and a little bit about your proposition?
Sure. In a nutshell, restaurants is all I've ever done since I was about 16. I wouldn't say particularly academic. I didn't particularly like school a huge amount. I had a godmother who had a catering business. I used to work for her at weekends and holidays, and she gave me a taste literally for good food and good hospitality. I then did hotel and restaurant management at university, because from working from her, I sort of felt that was something I wanted to go into. I was then very lucky to work for good people and be able to travel the world a bit. I worked in Canada, I worked in Australia, I worked down in Cornwall for 4 years. All through working in restaurants. I opened my first restaurant in London when I was 32, and I had 2 restaurants for 10 years, which I sold in 2015, allowed me to take a little bit of time out. This industry is pretty amazing. It's the only industry I've ever known, but it can be pretty life-consuming, restaurants. So I needed a bit of a break. And then the current restaurant that I own, where I'm sat at the moment, an amazing opportunity came along. I first saw this site in early 2018, and then we opened at the end of 2019.
Fantastic. Lot packed in there. So, and I saw from your profile, you were running Rick Stein's place in Platstow for a while.
I did. I was with Rick and his ex-wife Jill. I was there for 3-4 years at the end of my 20s, and I often say that they pretty much taught me everything that I know about restaurants. I learned the trade with them, and then Rick was very kindly an investor in my first restaurant, which probably I would never have got off the ground without his support. But yeah, I mean, they are incredible restaurateurs. I think they instilled much of what I believe in, and particularly work ethic. I mean, yeah, they're 2 of the hardest working people I know. Even now, with all their success, they still are. And I think restaurants, particularly if you're trying to do it at the top end, a high level, it is pretty relentless. And there's no way around that, really. So it has to become a labor of passion, really.
Yeah, fantastic heritage, isn't that? All right, great. Sam, what's special, different about your restaurant, your proposition, your what you're trying to bring to the market?
Well, I've always believed that, and again, I think this goes back to my time with Rick. Obviously Rick's a famous chef, but Rick, like me, believes that restaurants is really about hospitality, and it's really about looking after people. And I think in London in particular, there's a lot of concept restaurants, a lot of chain restaurants, and people often say, what is my concept? We don't really have one, apart from we're here to look after people. And, my restaurant's called Sam's Riverside because I want people to know there is a Sam. He's here most nights. It's privately owned. It's basically an extension of my home. And without sounding too corny, I want you to come to my home. We'll look after you. I mean, we will give you a bill at the end of the night, but it really is about old school hospitality. We have a beautiful location. We're right by the river, stunning views, a beautiful room, great food. But really, in my opinion, people coming to my restaurant tonight are here for 2.5 hours on average. And I want to make them feel a little bit better than when they arrived. And I think that comes down to the way we try and look after people.
Deliver a memorable experience.
Yeah, I mean, we're in restaurants is like theatre. You're creating memories.
Yeah.
And I think, you know, life is, for many different reasons, is quite tough for people at the moment. And you know, when people go out, maybe after a stressful day, they've had a tough time with their boss, something's happened at work, an argument with their partner. Restaurants can also be like an escapism. It's a break from reality, and that's very much how I see it. We've got people, and we can add a little bit of magic to their day, I hope.
Love the sound of that, Sam. Fantastic. So tell me a bit more about the kind of business journey, or your journey as an entrepreneur. What's that look like for you?
Listen, I was very lucky. I mean, I through working for Rick, and then I worked for some good people in Australia. I learned how to run restaurants and how to run a restaurant team. When I opened my first restaurant in 2005, I was 32, and I was green and naive to I guess the bigger business side of it, and everything from securing a lease, negotiating with landlords, borrowing money from the bank. You know, I was good at looking after people. I was good at making sure that the food tasted good. I was good at picking the right wines, because I'd done all of that for years. So, you know, the rest I kind of had to learn as I went along, and I think I'm still learning. You know, particularly, I mean, you know, the last few years, for obvious reasons, I think for most of us in business, has been not quite make it up as you go along, but how many people have ever had to survive a COVID, rebuild after a pandemic? You know, it's a whole new world in many ways. So, you know, that's part of what I love about business, or having your own business, is that no day is ever the same. There's an element of always, I find, of firefighting. But yeah, something changes every day, and to me, it really feels like that post-pandemic.
Yeah, no, absolutely, for you and thousands of other businesses. So, how have you navigated the challenges? Which particular challenges have really tested you, and yeah, which one or two things?
Well, I mean, my business is, I mean, it's not as simple as this, but it's really about good people. Because, you know, if I want to deliver a great experience, I've got to have great people. You know, I think people make a decision. You know, I made a decision before I had my own businesses to work for people like Rick Stein, because I wanted to work for an independent. I wanted to know who my boss was rather than a big company. And I think people who come to work for me often make that decision. But you know, it's never been harder to recruit people. You know, I think for hospitality, maybe in the past the key word was recruitment. Now the key word is retention. And you know, things have changed. I mean, in restaurants, people used to work crazy hours, and you can't get away from. Restaurants are busiest at the night times and weekends, so you know you have to work night times and weekends. But you know, we can make people's work-life balance much more acceptable. We can try and add to the quality of life in other ways. So yeah, for us, it's all about finding great people, holding on to great people, you know, developing great people. And trying to build a business around them, really.
All about the team. Fantastic.
All about the team.
Anything else that stands out in terms of your biggest learnings?
I think as a business person, but maybe it's maturity as well. I've learned to to take time to make. I think as an entrepreneur, often I like to make, because you can make decisions very quickly and you can react very quickly. You can pivot very quickly, which often you have to. But also I've learned to slow down, to not rush into decisions. I think particularly over the whole pandemic and just trying to survive and generate cash flows. I think we made some knee-jerk decisions, because often you have to just to survive, to pay the wages. But now that we're sort of out and recovering and trade is strong, I try and make better, more informed business decisions, I hope.
Right. So more strategic, more.
Yeah, I think so. And as my business grows, and we have new sites, that's more important as well. When you've got one restaurant, you can make very quick decisions, and you're on it every day. And if you want to, you can change a whole menu from lunch to dinner. We've now got 4 sites, and by the summer we'll have 6. There are more implications, so I can't be quite as gung-ho as perhaps I have been in the past.
Right. Yeah. That's part of the scale-up journey, isn't it, Sam? Fantastic. So, Sam, what does the future look like? What's your vision of where you're going with this business?
Well, I hope we've built a reputation with our main restaurant, and we've got these 3 shop cafes now. They're all in West London, Hammersmith, Chiswick, Brentford. So for me, they're all within a 25-minute bicycle ride, which means I can be in all of them on the same day. And we've decided to very much focus on that West London customer base, and not, we've been offered sites in other parts of London and outside London, but we've decided to sort of focus on these areas that are local to us, and build our reputation here, and build our presence and profile in West London. It's restaurants and this industry, the margins have always been tight. Obviously they're increasingly hard. So every day we're having to assess costs, assess menu pricing, try and be a little bit cleverer wherever we can. But also, we're not, I'm lucky I've got very supportive private investors. And obviously we're here to make money, but we're also taking a long-term view on current costings. It's not just, obviously we need to make profit, but it's not just about making profit today and going back to that knee-jerk reaction. The easy thing would just be to put all your prices up, but where does that leave you in 6 months or 12 months time?
Yeah. So making it more sustainable is what I'm hearing. Yeah.
Yeah, I think so. And we're very much a local business. And we have customers who use our cafes or even our main restaurant 3 or 4 days a week. So we can't just put our prices up and expect them to continue to come. So we've got to be clever working with our suppliers, but cleverer with our offerings, so that we can still remain affordable for people who want to come 3 or 4 days a week.
Very good. Are you still running the hospitality on the side, or as part of your proposition?
Hospitality.
Yeah, I saw that you had your hospitality part of your kind of portfolio. Is that
I ran a sort of consultancy business, but in between selling my old places and opening the new one.
Okay.
While I was working on launching my new restaurant, I had a little bit more spare time, so I helped a few other people with some projects.
Okay. That's what that
And
was.
now my own places keep me pretty full, keep me pretty occupied.
Very good. So what's inspiring you most now?
Do you know what? As I get a little bit older, and I still love working in my places. I mean, I was working last night. I was as a host on the door. We did 180 for dinner. I still get a huge buzz from that. But most of my team now are half my age, and they really inspire me, actually. And one of the reasons that I feel confident, we've got a big new restaurant project opening in the summer, but I wouldn't do that if I didn't have a young team who pushing me, and they're ambitious. They want to grow and they want to develop. And if I didn't offer them the opportunities, some of them would leave. I want them to obviously make these places a success for me and for them, but I'm inspired that they want to go on and have their own places. I was lucky to learn my trade with other people, and I hope that some of my team can learn their trade with me, and then I'll be crazy proud if in a few years I can visit them and they've got their own place. I think there's a nice, what's the word, sort of cyclical thing there. And I'm very passionate about this industry, and I'm particularly passionate about independence. And I'd love to see my team, any of my team, and there are a few of them who I know would love to one day have their own place, and I'd love to see that happen.
Sounds great. Grow your people, they grow your business, and maybe you can have some interest in those businesses as they.
I mean, listen, some of my investors have said, why wouldn't you build, almost like a little a stable of independent places. I mean, it may never happen, but I think it's a lovely idea. And as I said, when I opened my first place, Rick Stein was very kind to invest in me, but also it was much easier, to raise money in 2005. Raising, I mean, it's pretty bloody hard to get back any form of bank funding at the moment. So yeah, if my investors and I somewhere down the line can help people, great.
Amazing. Sam, just to finish off, what's the best advice you could give to a 21-year-old starting out in business, or even the 21-year-old Sam?
I think I would say to myself, and I do say this to people if they come and ask my advice, not be in too much of a rush. I think there's so much to be gained through experience, and I think all work is good experience. When I was younger, I worked in burger joints, I've worked in pizza joints, I've worked in pubs, I was a delivery driver, and all very different from where I've ended up. But all, I learned things in all of those jobs. And sometimes Rick Stein and I have joked that I made mistakes with his money. And while I worked for him, we opened a cookery school, we opened a cafe, a deli, and we probably did make mistakes. We all make mistakes, but it's a good way to learn. And I think often when we're young, we're very keen to rush on to the next thing, and maybe desperate to do your own business. And I would just gain as much experience as you can. The opportunities will always be there. I think sometimes we think if we don't jump on something, we'll miss out.
Great advice, Sam. That's beautiful. Thank you so much. If anybody wants to get in touch with you, find out more, what's the best way?
Well, I'd love them to come and visit the restaurant. Our website is samsriverside.co.uk. That actually, if my email's on there as well, if they go on the jobs page, that doesn't have to be looking for a job. But my email is sam@samsriverside.co.uk. And as you know, I love this business. I would encourage anyone. Is actually I put on my jobs page. We're always looking for people with experience, but we're also, I think people post-pandemic have been reassessing. Lots of us have, haven't we? Our life and career and jobs, and we've had quite a few people approach us about, with amazing experience in other fields, but they're passionate about food, or they always thought they might want to try and have their own restaurant one day, and just, I've got someone working on my front desk at the moment who's got amazing marketing and advertising background, never worked in restaurants, but he's just a brilliant people person. And I'm not quite sure where that will end up for him, but at the moment, I think he's having a lot of fun. We're loving having him here. So yeah, I would, if anyone ever wants to come and give it a go, give me a shout.
Well done. Fantastic. Thank you so much, Sam. Really fascinating insight, and thanks for sharing your journey so far.
You're welcome.